Welcome to the INFOWARS Nightly News. I'm your host, Jakari Jackson. It's February 25th, 2015, and here's a look at our top stories.
Tonight, the FCC refuses to publicly release the federal government's plan for the internet takeover. Meanwhile, Barack Obama holds a town hall meeting that is closed to the public but open to illegal aliens. And a new poll says that the majority of Americans support military invasions of Iraq and Syria. All that plus more up next on the INFOWARS Nightly News.
SOPA, PIPA, CISPA. These are just some of the ways we've seen them try to take our internet away, the government that is. And today is no different. FCC refuses to testify before Congress ahead of internet takeover. FCC Chairman Tom Wheeler is refusing to appear before Congress as the FCC prepares a regulatory internet takeover. Not only that, but Wheeler has also refused to publicly release the FCC's 332-page draft of the internet regulations. So if you or I decided that we just didn't feel like going in front of Congress, there'd be some serious repercussions for that. But if you're the head of the FCC, it's not that big of a deal. And it's one of those, we have to pass it to find out what's in it kind of deals. And we've seen this before, we've seen Nancy Pelosi doing things like this. And we heard Mr. Wheeler, he said something to the effect, we have to keep the internet fair. And I think the internet is pretty fair as it is. I pay my $40 a month for my internet service. I get to use it. I can use Netflix, whatever I want to do, and I'm fine with that. Same deal if you have a phone. You have a data package. You have, $50 worth of content or whatever. Use that up, you get another data package. I'm okay with that as well. But now the government wants to come in and regulate your internet for you. And to hear more about this, let's take a listen to an interview on Larry King.
I think that we at the FCC should be as open and transparent as the internet itself and let the American people see for themselves what it is that we're talking about.
Wait a minute, you can't tell me what's in the document?
That is correct. Stamped on the front is an internal, use-only, non-public moniker. And unless I'm authorized by the chairman to disclose this, I can't let you or any of the other millions of Americans who are interested in the internet economy know what the FCC is going to do.
Why?
Until we vote on February 26th, this document will not be released.
And as I said before, they want to pass it before they can show you what's in it. But you do have guys like that fine gentleman trying to warn you about these things to come from the most transparent administration in American history. I could not say that without laughing. And the transparency seems to know no bounds because now we have Obama having town hall meetings that are closed to the public. And one person was quoted as saying, Obama today flies to Miami to take part in a town hall with a handpicked audience to talk about his immigration policies and imperial actions. The Miami Herald reports that the event, scheduled to take place at the Miami campus of the Florida International University, is not being sponsored by the university and is, in fact, closed to the public for all intents and purposes. And he does this, this is what this president does. To reiterate myself, allow myself to reintroduce myself, because myself and Kit Daniels went and saw Obama or attempted to see Obama when he came here to Austin at the University of Texas, well, I guess technically the LBJ Museum. And, we went through the flaming hoops of razor wire. We had to go submit our packets and all that stuff. And I got my press pass and I said, okay, where is it going to be? Where do I need to go? They said, oh, you cannot go in because you were not hand selected by the Secret Service. I said, excuse me, what are you talking about? I went to the thing, here's my press credentials and all that. You talk to my boss, whatever. They said, yeah, but the Secret Service was choosing who could come in and who can go, and you're not on that list. So, basically they said, instead of going in the actual room with Obama, being able to ask him a question, we have this other room, this monitor room, that's in a completely different building where you can sit there and watch. And I'm not mad at the LBJ Museum. They were just doing what they were told to do. But this is the type of transparency they see. Town hall meetings where you can't go in unless you're handpicked, and also press events that you cannot go in unless the Secret Service selects you for that as well. Poll: majority of Americans support invasion of Syria and Iraq to put down U.S.-trained Islamic State. If a poll put out by Pew Research can be believed, writes Kurt Nimmo, a majority of Americans approve of the ISIS war and a narrow majority want ground troops sent to Iraq and Syria. Due primarily to the ceaseless stream of horrific propaganda, 63% of Americans approve of an airstrike against ISIS positions, while 30% disapprove. And I'll say it like I say pretty much every week because ISIS is consistently in the news. You have Al-Qaeda trained, funded by the United States of America, and places like Iraq, also Syria. These guys break off into splinter groups and form ISIS. Now, people call into the show and they don't quite understand. Are you saying Islamic extremists doesn't exist? Yeah, they most definitely do. I'm saying that we're funding and providing these people weapons to use against our own troops, and then we send our own troops over there to fight them. Just like we do have Mexican drug cartels. They existed long before we started giving them guns with Operation Fast and Furious. But once again, we're funding our own opposition. And when I talk about Muslim extremists, I'm talking about the guys burning down Christian villages and chopping people's heads off if they refuse to convert. I'm not talking about Muslims in general. I always throw that out there as well. And since we're throwing things out there, let's throw out the feminists, because we've seen a lot of feminist things coming out. Now, when I talk about feminism or just women in general, women's rights, I'm concerned about women in Saudi Arabia being labeled terrorists if they want to drive, women being gang raped in places like India, here in the States as well, women getting raped on campus and all that. But a lot of times you're, I guess, third-wave feminists, as Paul Joseph Watson will put it, will turn a blind eye to things like this. Despite routinely targeting men for fostering a rape culture, feminists are definitely silent about the brutal gang rape of a woman in her own home while children were present. The victim was at home with her family in Las Vegas when a gang of thugs reportedly kicked in her door, robbed the family at gunpoint, and proceeded to rape her. And although multiple news outlets carried the story, it received no attention from popular feminist blogs. And one writer put it, feminists don't care about rape victims, and they never have. And this is the thing that kind of concerns me, or I guess more or less confuses me about feminists, because you have the feminists, let's burn the bras and, free the nipples. Then you also have the feminists who are trying to ban the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issues. So I'm really not exactly sure if they're all on one accord on that. But I think things like this should definitely be reported, and I'm kind of surprised that they didn't actually do that if they say they are for women's rights, but to each his own. Now let's take things a little colder, a little chillier, if you will, and talk about global warming or lack thereof, because we see the headline, lobster boats frozen in New England harbor. And, this is just another example, because I'm sure you guys saw earlier this year, it came out, I guess, the beginning of January. 2014, hottest year on record, or hottest year in 100 years, whatever the headline was. And they cherry-picked a few places, like maybe it was exceptionally hot here, and there, but it was also record cold here, and there. What places were record cold? I'm glad you asked. City of Chicago, it said it was the coldest year in 100 years. The Great Lakes were freezing up onto the landmass. It was so cold. Here in Austin, Texas, the police chief was warning people not to drive because the streets were so slick in the state of Texas. Just a few examples of the many that are going on out there. And recently I was watching a clip from MSNBC, Bill Nye the Science Guy. And I'm not picking a fight with Bill. I loved him as a kid. I watched the show and all that. But he was saying, don't use the phrase global warming because people understand that sometimes it's cold. He says, don't use global warming. Use the blanket term of climate change. So if it's cold one day, that's climate change. If it's hot one day, it's climate change. If it's rainy one day, that's climate change. If it's a drought next day, that's climate change. So any way you slice it, any type of weather variable will fit into our narrative with so much in so many words. And that's the concern I have about this. For people who don't quite grasp this is exactly what's going on. Anything that happens anywhere fits into their narrative. But long before there were SUVs and coal-powered plants and all these other things, there were always droughts, always floods, always hurricanes, always tornadoes. And my point about this, you can think we're kooks or whatever else. You can believe what you want to believe. Understand that people like Al Gore, one of the top global warming cheerleaders, has multiple homes and a $30,000 electricity bill. That was reported last year, a year before. These guys, they show up in their private jets, with their whoever's. Guys show up to these Davos conferences with their 2 nannies and their families talking about you need to live more within your means. Obama goes to Africa and tells Africans in Africa they should not have air conditioning. And I dare you to go Google that. People don't believe it. You have to show it to them. And these are just some of the things that are going on. And the point I was making with that, regardless if you believe it's true, hook, line, and sinker, or you're a little bit skeptical, don't pay any carbon taxes. Say, hey, we can, save the children, polar bears can't swim, whatever else. But when they say it's time for a tax, say nay, let's find some other way. And sometimes the best way to do things is just to operate your Second Amendment right and protect your friends and your family.
Gillenwater walked into Good Pharmacy Wednesday morning. He had a gun. Ratcliffe reached for his pistol, shot the would-be robber, and then shot again. That second bullet hit Gillenwater's gun. Here's a photo of it. That shot lodged the bullet up into the barrel, making it impossible for Gillenwater to fire off any more shots.
And coming up after this break, we'll have more gun news. Michael Cargill of Central Texas Gun Works is going to join us and discuss the ATF's plans to regulate your ammunition. And also, Alex Jones will be telling us about black sites, the secret sites where your Constitution does not exist. And this isn't some foreign, faraway land. This is right here in the United States of America.
The knowledge of the ancients, tried and true, trusted herbs and extracts fused with the latest nutraceutical science. Introducing the all-new Ancient Defense Herbal Immunity Blend, crafted with over 14 key ancient herbs and extracts to supercharge and prepare your body for what experts admit is the most dangerous season of the year. We have rejected hundreds of other formulations in our quest to bring you what is simply the most powerful and comprehensive proprietary formula that we have ever created in the realm of herbal immunity. For the last 2 years, our team has been working with top doctors, nutritionists, and chemists to develop the ultimate nutraceutical formulation. Experience the benefits of combining over 14 ancient herbs and extracts with exciting new advances in nutraceutical science. For a limited time, get 25% off on this introductory offer. Visit ancientdefense.com or call 888-253-3139. ancientdefense.com. Used since before the days of the Roman Empire to support the body's natural systems and enhance overall health. Introducing the new INFOWARSLife.com oil of oregano formulation, a highly advanced nutraceutical form of this key herb that has been traditionally used by civilizations for thousands of years to promote health. We have now procured the most high quality and potent forms of oregano oil on the market, sourced from top leading manufacturers to ensure a concentrated level of bioactive ingredients. Extracted directly from the wild herb and sealed in easy-to-use capsules, you will no longer need to endure the burning of liquid oregano on the tongue. Wild crafted from the Mediterranean oregano species that experts agree is one of the most powerful and most challenging to acquire. This winter season, it's more important than ever to secure this true form of oil of oregano. Now available in our limited first run at INFOWARSLife.com. That's INFOWARSLife.com or call 888-253-3139.
Early in our broadcast, we talked to you about the FCC and their regulations of the internet. We've seen SOPA, PIPA, CISPA. All they do is repackage the tyranny and bring it under a new name. And now we see the ATF go into a different organization, bringing the tyranny down on ammunition. And to talk more about this, how the ATF is trying to reclassify ammunition, we have Michael Cargill of Central Texas Gun Works. All right, thanks for joining us again, Mike.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, now we talked a little bit about this, but tell me, well, first of all, can you break it down to the lowest common denominator? What is this thing with the ATF?
Okay, well, first of all, we have our different, branches of government. We have our legislative branch, we have our executive branch, and then we have our judicial branch. Mm-hmm. And I find it very funny how the ATF is actually legislating, and I'm not sure what branch they fall under.
Right.
Since they're the department, So that's kind of weird to me. The original intent of this was to actually ban certain types of ammunition for handguns. Mm-hmm. It was never intended for long guns at all. So it's mainly intended for handguns, so they could not penetrate body armor of law enforcement officers. Right. Mm-hmm. Long gun ammunition is for sporting purposes. So it was never intended to go to sporting purposes at all. And was never intended for rifles. So I have a big problem with this, because I like that ammunition. I like it for sporting purposes.
Right. So when they say that they want to change it, do you believe that that's all it is? They're just going to change this one particular thing for the AR-15, the .223 round. It's just going to end there? No,
absolutely not. This is going to start right there, and then it's going to go to other things, and then we're going to have a problem with trying to get ammunition. Because once you start targeting certain types of ammunition, that's going to cause a problem all the way down the pipeline. And so, hey, if they can't get the guns, then let's go after the ammo.
And that's exactly what a lot of people are saying, and I agree with you on that point. Especially with this particular round, the AR-15 round, we've seen, since the recent shootings, all the things going on, so much demonization of the AR-15 rifle itself, even companies like Bushmaster being sued and all that stuff. So now it seems very fishy.